This is Access Ann Arbor.
We're here today to tell you about the Aphasia Community Friendship Center. It's a long name, and we're going to refer to it maybe by ACFC. And first I want to introduce the people who are going to be here talking about this, and then we'll get into a good explanation of that a little bit later. But my name is Nikki Wilson, and I'm a board member representing caregivers for the organization, and I also volunteer as a facilitator for a caregiver support group. Next to me we have Lynn Chenoweth. Lynn is a board-certified music therapist, and she's been working with people with aphasia for over 20 years. She saw a need over that time for something like the ACFC, and because of that, she founded the organization and acts as the director. This is a real labor of love on her part. She's very passionate and caring, and she devotes many, many hours, and this organization would not exist without her. We're going to be hearing a lot from her in a little bit about what we are and what we do. At the end here we have Kerry Cushing. Kerry is a single parent, and he lives in Pinckney, and he's a retired construction worker. And Kerry has aphasia, which is a result of a stroke that he had in 2009. He's been participating in the aphasia program since 2012, and we're going to hear a little bit more from him in a little bit too. And then next to Kerry, we have Liz Lidov. And Liz is a second-year grad student in the Eastern Michigan University's Speech, Language, and Pathology program. She is also the chapter president of EMU's National Student Speech, Language, and Hearing Association, and she has been a volunteer, one of our very treasured volunteers at the ACFC. To help us along with this, we have testimonials from some of our participants and some of their family members, and we're going to use some of those testimonials to kind of give us a direction to tell you all about what we are. The first one we'd like to share with you is stroke, aphasia. These two words had no meaning to me some 18 months ago. I knew little about what a stroke did, except that after one, I was still alive. I've gone through some harrowing periods since my stroke and learning to cope with some problems. I feel extremely fortunate that I learned of the ACFC through a member of my church who had met Lynn Chenoweth at U of M. Lynn had started the ACFC about 3 or 4 years ago. Most members of our group have speech and physical ailments that far exceed my problems. I believe it is our good fortune to be together to support each other. Lynn encourages each individual to engage in conversation. Using music, exercise, games, and art therapy, our 1 day a week goes quickly. We are thankful that Lynn fills a need by continuing to help us with our speech after most therapy, covered by insurance, runs out. I only wish there was a way to let more people affected by strokes or other types of brain injuries know about the Friendship Center. Lynn, would you use that as kind of a starting point and tell us a little bit about aphasia and the Aphasia Center?
Oh, I'd be happy to do that, Nikki. First of all, I think it's really important that we understand and be able to answer the question, what is aphasia? And so I thought we would look at some slides with that information as I go through it with you. Aphasia is actually a word from a Greek word meaning loss of words or loss of language. It's an acquired language disorder, but it's not a loss of language, or not a loss of intelligence. But with the loss is the ability to produce and or understand words, read, write, gesture, name familiar objects. Looking at this pen and being able to identify it as a pen, that can be very difficult. And because of this loss, aphasia increases social isolation. And there's a study that has shown people with aphasia, like Kerry, 70% of them said that they definitely have experienced social isolation. Because when you think about it, when we go to therapy, that's that's a safe place to be. We know where we're going. We know there's other people who understand us. But once therapy has been discontinued, as our friend Bob in the testimony pointed out, we're back by ourselves. And we don't live at the rehab center. We live at home. And we need people to help us get past that social isolation. Believe it or not, aphasia is acquired by approximately 100,000 persons in the United States each year, independent of their age, gender, or ethnicity. Not everyone who has a stroke actually has aphasia. 25 to 40%, but probably closer to 40% of people who've had strokes have experienced some form of aphasia. It can also result from a traumatic brain injury, brain tumor, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease, and other medical conditions. And you probably recognize the fact that in some of these cases, the aphasia is going to be progressive, as in Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. So like Carrie, that we're going to hear from later, his aphasia, he's in what we call aphasia recovery. There's a myth, and I want you to put this aside once I've verbalized it. Many people believe that a person eventually reaches a plateau in recovering from aphasia and stroke. That's not true. The fact is that the brain continues to heal given time and the appropriate stimulation. So aphasia recovery actually follows a continuum. So aphasia rehabilitation is multifaceted. There's the brain that's constantly healing. There's the personal commitment by the person, their determination, their motivation, their energy that Carrie's going to share with you later. And then there's the family and the friends and the community of support. You never want to give up hope. Let's look at a couple of more slides at the aphasia data. The incidence of aphasia, which is, in the year 2007, we have information that 80,000 people in the United States experienced aphasia for the first time. In the year 2020, that figure is projected to increase by 100,000. That's pretty astounding. The prevalence of aphasia across the country, meaning how many people are actually living with aphasia in the country, in 2007 is 1 million people. In 2020, that projected figure is to double to 2 million. Let's look at the aphasia data for Michigan. The number of strokes recorded in Michigan in 2005 was 200,000. Now, if we go back and think about 25 to 40% of people who then acquire aphasia, we see that in 2005, 50,000 to 80,000 new cases of acquired aphasia just in Michigan alone. And think about, where's the dense population in the state of Michigan? It's right here in southeastern Michigan.
Okay, that's pretty amazing, astounding facts about aphasia. Can you tell us how that relates to what you do at the Aphasia Center now?
Sure. As Nikki pointed out earlier, I just saw a real need for a program where people could come and continue to work on their recovery after therapy had been discontinued. So what I'd like you to do is think of an aphasia center as a health club, focused not on physical fitness, but on social fitness. And our aphasia center is actually grounded in what's called the life participation approach to aphasia rehabilitation. And this is a program that was designed by professional speech-language pathologists, such as Liz is studying to become. And it's their response to the World Health Organization of a few years ago, when WHO began to shift, or not so much shift, but to begin to recognize how important The environment outside of the clinical setting is for people who are recovering from strokes. But there just hasn't been any program like that available. And so we have the Aphasia Community Friendship Center right here in Southeast Michigan. We're the only one nonprofit, community-based program in the state of Michigan. And there are only about 12 programs similar to this across the country. And the goal of the National Aphasia Association is really to begin to develop and have programs like this available throughout the country.
And who comes? Who are your participants?
The majority of the folks who come to our program have had strokes. Carrie would be one of our stroke participants. We've had closed head injury, brain tumor, someone with muscular dystrophy, primary progressive aphasia, which is a form of aphasia that progresses. And so a couple of our folks actually have become mute and are unable to speak. Age ranges have been from 22 to 94. We're going to celebrate a 94th birthday in May. And they come from all over. Manchester, Chelsea, Milan, Dexter, Novi, Canton.
Okay. So obviously there's a huge need, and you're working hard at trying to fill that need. So that's really important, I think, to be able to do that. But we want to hear a little bit about somebody's perspective who goes there. So I have another testimonial I would like to share, and it says, "My husband indicates that he feels more at ease with the ACFC group and likes being able to go each week. ACFC provides him with the opportunity to focus on activities related to friendship, socialization, and communication. I really feel this facilitates and contributes to his independence." Carrie, you're a participant, and you have been since 2012. How did you learn about this group?
Eastern had me, and I went there. I was in for the hospital, and they were the ones that told me where to go with.
Okay, that's good. And why do you keep coming back?
Community. They support me.
Okay, that's important, isn't it?
That's real big
Okay,
on that.
that's good. How do you think that it has helped you going to participating here? How do you think it's made your life easier to live with having aphasia?
Yes, well, I am who I am now, but Lynn helps me get vet resume, and they're helping me for that. And okay. I'm 62 years old, and now it's time for me to get a job and because of what I've had, and somebody can
help you.
Somebody will help me.
That's good. So you like going.
I used to be a carpenter, and they don't want that.
They don't want that. Well, I'm sure there's lots of other opportunities, and the ACFC will help you to explore those options then. Okay. It is hard to put into words how special and unique ACFC is for people with aphasia and their caregivers. It's become a key part of my husband's recovery. The Caregiver Support Group gives us caregivers time to talk and unwind. I want to share a little bit about that. I was a caregiver for quite some time for my husband, and that's one of the things that prompted me to be able to volunteer and to help that, because it's a really difficult thing to be a caregiver for someone who has aphasia. And it can be very rewarding, but also very frustrating. And so it helps to have somebody to share those things with. People, your friends, your family can say that they understand what you're going through, but if they've never done it, they don't really know. So it's really a good idea to be able to share things, and we can say, we leave the room, we can say whatever we think. If we're happy about the progress our loved one's making, that's great. If things are frustrating, we can say they're frustrating. If we're upset or angry, we can share that also. So we want to just always have that available, and to always remember that we're there to support each other, and to be there to also see how our loved ones are responding to the organization, so we can continue that on at home. One of the things that's also really important to keeping this organization running is having volunteers. We have had student volunteers that have contributed over 400 hours since the inception of our group. We could not do this without their help. It's just would not be able to happen. Liz has been a volunteer in the past, and Liz, can you describe your volunteer role for us?
Sure. So as a volunteer, I've had multiple roles at the Aphasia Community Friendship Center, where the first and foremost is helping Lynn transition between the activities that go out through the day. She has a full plan, and to transition smoothly is really important. So that's the first thing that volunteers do. The second thing is providing support to the members, whether it's assisting them with activities of daily living, like bringing them and assisting them to the bathroom or to get a drink, or having a conversation, or helping a person with aphasia follow a conversation while people are talking. So for example, you could see that I'm writing notes to Carrie during this segment so that he can follow what has been said, because his aphasia helps him not understand. And then one of the last things I'd like to talk about is the role that volunteers have, is just to observe, observe, observe. It has been so important for beginning clinicians and who are seeking to be speech pathologists to observe people with aphasia, communicate with one another, and also communicate with us.
So you're giving to them, but you're getting something back in return.
Yes, of course.
That's wonderful. And we do thank you again so much for all your volunteer efforts. Carrie, I know that you help Lynn a lot. You do a lot of things to help her out. Can you tell us just a couple of things that you do to help her?
Well, I try to help Lynn to set up things in there.
Okay.
I also bake bread for people to eat.
Excellent.
And I'm just a big talker.
Well, that's good.
I am also a dyslexic, and from years, and as a stories, I've been around the world as a young man.
Okay, so you can share a lot with everyone there, can't you? And you tell a lot of people about the center, don't you?
Absolutely.
That's wonderful, and we thank you a whole lot for that. So that's really good. Lynn, or Liz, I want to ask Liz first, okay, then we'll come back to Lynn. But Liz, I know that you are not only a member, but president of the National Student Organization, and I know that you have done a lot to promote us in this organization. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course. So the most important thing for me was learning about the Aphasia Community Friendship Center through the organization NISLA. And what we've done last year was apply for a community service grant for $500 for the art therapy program that Lynn has designed for people with aphasia. Fortunately, we have received that grant, and Lynn has used that money towards the program. So NISLA really advocates for the ACFC, not just in our program, but really all throughout Michigan.
That's wonderful, and I know that we really appreciate that, and that brings up the point of the art therapy. Lynn, do you want to tell us a little bit about, we have these nice pictures back here. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this evening we brought some samples of artwork that our participants have done. And keep in mind that many of our folks have not only aphasia, but paralysis of the right side. And if they were right-handed before their stroke, they're now using their non-dominant hand in order to eat, dress, comb hair, and so if they engage in some artwork, they have an opportunity to strengthen the skills, their what we call fine motor skills, in that non-dominant hand. The other thing is that when you think about it, art therapy doesn't take any words, does it, Carrie?
Yeah.
You don't have to talk, but you can really reveal a lot about what you're thinking, what you're feeling as you're doing your artwork.
Right.
And you can use, you've used paints, Carrie, chalk.
Chalk. There were several things here that I've done on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so there's different media. So you have colors, different shapes, different textures, and all of this is communicating something from within. And this is so important for you to be able to do that. We have a wonderful art therapist. Her name is Margaret Wiebel, and she volunteers her time once or twice a month and comes and spends an hour and a half with the folks. One of the things that they're particularly good at, but we don't have a sample of that, it might be on one of the slides, I'm not sure, but of putting collages together. And they recently completed a collage, and we had it processed so it looks like a painting on canvas, and it was a gift to the caregiver, widow, the wife of a gentleman who passed away unexpectedly just before the holidays. And we were able to go beyond what we normally would do in terms of expense. And there's a beautiful example that was on the screen of that collage. And in the money from the student organization enabled us to think about expanding on that project. And just the other day, the recipient of that collage told me she's repainted her kitchen, and it's hanging now in her kitchen, and everyone is enjoying that.
And it was really very, very beautiful. It really was, and it was a nice tribute. And it also, I think, showed the camaraderie of all the people. I mean, it's like a family. Everybody's together like a family, and it was something they wanted to do to show their appreciation and their love for Jim after he passed away, to share that with her. So. Another thing that I know that you always do is you have a little bit of a fitness program. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Carrie, would you call it a little bit of a fitness program?
Maybe it's a lot. I don't know.
Well, from 11 to 12, we really haven't talked about the how the day goes on Friday, but from 11 to 12, we do what I call movement to music. As a music therapist, I have to get in there and use the music, and everybody engages in all kinds of exercises, and we use different props. You know, Carrie, what is it we use?
Oh, we work out. Yes, it helps. You can see me going through this part of me, and it comes through my head. And this one right here will push us on this side of me, to do this side of me, to move back and forth, trying to do exactly what we usually do.
Good.
As a visually.
So we work on balance, we work on range of motion, and strengthening.
Yeah.
We work on endurance, and it's really interesting to see, although we only do this once a week, we see progress, don't we? Yeah.
Okay, and so what else do you said, that's how you start your day. What else goes on throughout the day then?
Well, we're open from 10 to 4. I'll say 3:30. We have to do some cleanup and leave the room by 5. But people start arriving around 10:15 or so in the morning. And that first hour I call Chit Chat Cafe. There's always coffee, if I remember to bring it, and fruit, and what else, Carrie? Sometimes homemade banana bread.
Bread.
And just gather around what I call the conversation table to relax. Then we do an hour of movement from 11 to 12, and then back to the conversation table for lunch. Everyone brings their own lunch. And then we have, the afternoon is sometimes topic specific, sometimes not, but We fill up with sometimes a guest speaker. Our guest speakers are always stroke survivors, and to share their story and to keep everyone on task.
Okay. And I know that you do, on occasion, you do have picnics with other groups or a tiger game maybe once a year. Some kinds of things like that go on too, which is helpful. Do most of the caregivers stay? I mean, does everyone have a caregiver with them?
No, not everyone. Those who drive come pretty much by themselves.
Okay.
Others come with a care partner, and surprising to me, they end up staying the whole day with us, which has been really wonderful to have that
Well, that's
help
good.
us.
And speaking as a caregiver, I know that that's very helpful because you are very much aware then of what's going on with your loved one and how they are reacting and what they are learning, so you can take that home and expand on it. So that's wonderful. I know that you probably have some thoughts for some future projects.
I do, and I need everyone out there. I need your help. I would like to start an Aphasia Community Chorus, and singing. We're running short on time, so I'd like you to go to our website and look at the page about the chorus. It gives you all the reasons why getting together to sing is so valuable for people with aphasia. You do not have to have had any singing experience beforehand. You do not have to be able to read. I have all that covered. So I just need voices. We will not meet on a Friday. We'll be meeting on a Tuesday. But the time and place is yet to be determined.
And you use music often, don't you?
I do.
And
Yes.
because you're a music therapist, so obviously you want to bring that in. You're not providing music therapy, but you are introducing music and using that as part of your day usually.
Yeah.
And I think everybody enjoys that pretty much, don't they?
And Carrie brings his guitar
Carrie brings
sometime, and
his
we
guitar
play
too.
guitar together.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's really nice. And like I said, I think it's certainly a worthwhile organization. I hope that we've been able to educate the public on this, and we always are looking for more people to participate. I think you got some contact information on a slide there. There is no charge for your first visit. We want everybody to come and see what it's like and see if they feel that they would be a good it would be a good fit for them. If they have a caregiver, if you are a caregiver or you know someone, then it's, we invite you to please join us. I think that having everybody together and doing projects together, it's just, Carrie, you feel like these are all your good friends there, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and so you really look forward to it.
Yes.
Okay. Lynn, just because we do have a little bit of time, do you want to tell us just maybe a couple of the highlights of some of the special projects or outings that you've done? Maybe was there a favorite outing that you went on that you could tell us just a little bit about then?
Well, two come to mind right away. One is the University of Michigan Museum of Art. We met there on a Sunday afternoon, spent 2 hours, and then went out for dinner afterwards. That was very special. Another is a tour at Matawi Tile Works, and everyone enjoyed that very much. And again, we ended up having lunch afterwards together. We love to eat.
I was just going to say, food is kind of a big part of this somehow or other, right? People bring things or make things, and I know you have one other person who bakes quite frequently and brings things also and shares the recipes. So those are definitely good things to do. It's a good organization, and we hope that it will continue to grow. The last thing that I want to share is one last testimonial is, what a turnaround in attitude when you have companions on your journey. Thank you. We just thank you for your time.